Привет всем! Мы сегодня опять встретились с нашим другом Беном. Йоу!
Yo!
Бен the Hulk. И сегодня у нас интересный вопрос к Бену. Вот мы с ним разговаривали о том, что мы изучаем в школе, и те знания, которые нам дают в школе, или те знания, которые нам пригодятся в жизни, когда мы изучаем английский язык. Я об этом спросил Бена. И вот интересно узнать, что Бен об этом думает. Бен, what do you think?
Well, it's an interesting question because obviously I teach in a school here, so
Yeah.
I know all about it, and I know the differences about learning in a school and learning in real life. And the question really is, well, another question you could ask yourself is, why go to another country to learn English? Like,
Right.
why go to
Right.
England, for
Right.
example?
Right.
Well, some of the Russian books, first of all, are terrible to learn from. They're not really interesting.
Like
Okay?
outdated or
And they're outdated.
boring?
They're boring. They're specifically for the Russian kind of mentality. You know, like kind
okay.
of logic, and grammar.
Okay.
And some of the international books that you get are great, but they don't teach you real life situations. Even when they have like a real life situation format inside the book, it doesn't prepare you for real life.
Right.
Okay, so learning in a classroom is great to give you the base of what you
Need to learn.
you need to learn, what you need to know.
Like grammatical formulas, grammatical rules.
Formulas, yeah, the basic ones.
Basics,
and especially
okay.
in English, it's very grammatically structured. And,
Right.
So you'll be able to speak like a robot, basically, if you finish
Right.
if you finish a book,
Right.
right? So because you say perfectly, I love ice cream, for example.
There
right?
is a book on the table.
There is a book on the table, exactly. Even in the higher format grammatical situations as well. But do we really speak it in the UK
Like that.
like that?
Do you?
No. We use contractions like wanna, gonna,
Right.
and I always say, like, when I teach something simple like present simple, okay?
Right.
People don't go, do you want an ice cream?
Okay. An apple.
An apple, exactly. We actually kind of mesh things together so it becomes one sound. So I always teach like, do you wanna?
Do you want an apple?
Do you want an apple?
apple.
Do you want apple? Because it helps pronunciation and it helps the speaking and speed things up.
Right.
And it helps a real life situation.
Right.
Because a lot of my students, right, they look at YouTube videos and stuff like that, which is brilliant, and you
Right.
should do a lot more of that because it increases your situational learning.
Right. Practice your listening.
Yeah,
probably.
practicing your listening, right? But it also gives a real life situation
Right.
on what you're doing and
Right.
what you're learning.
Right.
And this is why it's important to go to the UK and stuff like that. Because what you say and do in a classroom is different to real life situations.
Okay. What happens if you, let's say, you don't have a chance to go to the UK right now? Okay. What one should focus on? In order to have less barriers when one gets to actually
Yeah.
to the environment, to the language environment.
Well, first of all, you've got to pinpoint where you're going to go.
Right.
Because
Okay.
speaking in America and speaking in Britain,
Australia, maybe.
or Australia, South Africa, wherever you go, they speak in completely different ways.
Right.
Okay. So first of all, pinpoint where you're going to go to. So if you're going to go to the UK, for example, even in the UK, right? In Scotland, they have different words.
Yeah. Wales.
In Wales, they have different
Ireland.
words. Yeah, exactly. So, and then find good examples of those people online. And it's difficult without having to search
Right.
people from London, etc., etc.
Right.
Okay. But the more you surround yourself with the people from that area, the more you'll understand when you get there.
Right.
Okay.
So
You've got to
authenticity,
fine-tune.
that's what you should be aiming at, right?
Exactly.
Authenticity. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Authenticity. Get some real life situations. Books as well, right? So we've mentioned this before.
Before, yes.
Yes. Have real life books. Old books like Shakespeare and stuff like that. They're brilliant to read, but they don't give you real life situations.
You're not gonna go like, I love thee,
Yeah.
thou shalt, whatever.
Exactly. You're not going to start speaking to someone like Romeo and Juliet as soon as you meet them. Hey, Sergey, thou Sergey, and all that.
Right. So authenticity and something that actually related to you, to your to your needs. Okay, and if how do you pinpoint those problems? Like lots of people study languages, but they cannot speak the languages. And what do they should focus on right now? Is it like grammar or more for conversational language? Something that people actually use.
Obviously, it depends on the student, because if they are grammatically deficits, they have a deficit in grammar, then they really need to sharpen up on that and make sure that you have the basic points first before you continue later on, because you won't understand what's happening around you if you don't understand the grammar to start off with.
Good. We talked about Russia a little bit, but you studied German and French.
Yeah.
Right. What happened when you studied those languages back in the UK? Did you have the same problem? Like you studied one thing, and then you actually, when you got to Germany and France, and you couldn't understand people because of that. Well, the same discrepancies. Let's put it that way. Did you have that?
Well, yeah, I did. No, actually, I was all right to start off with. Now, I'm not a language man. I find it very difficult to learn languages. But also, it's because we're quite lazy about learning languages in the UK. Again, I studied.
Yes, you speak English already, so why bother?
Yeah, but I learned English, French for 8 years.
For 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your level now?
0.
Can you say there's a book on the table in French?
No. I could probably say book and table, but not. I couldn't put it
on the table.
On the table. I've completely forgotten. But, if I heard it again, I'd come back to it. Yeah,
it will probably come back to you.
We always had trips to France.
Right.
Because we're very, very close.
Right.
Now the problem with Russians is that there's no English-speaking country within.
That's right. There's no La Manche to cross.
Unless you're over the other side.
Right.
But if you're in, say, the Moscow part, the European part, there's no easy way to get to an English-speaking. I think Malta might be the closest one.
Right.
But so you got the problem that you cannot simply go to a place, and so you need to surround yourself with something. Okay. Now, when I went to France as a young kid, I found my French improved greatly, but that was only because I
practice a lot.
Practice. So you've got to have a bit of courage.
Right.
You've got to take the step and go somewhere and study, real life situations.
Right.
There's a reason why, like, for example, Americans don't use present perfect that much, but we in Britain do.
Have you got something?
Have you got someone? Or past and stuff like that.
Well, that's something, that's one of the things that you should pay attention to, right? Even though if you use present tense or present perfect in America, it will be completely fine.
Yeah.
Right? It will be completely fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They'll understand you, but it's not topical in that area.
Right.
Okay. So get your bums going. Get your bums to another
Okay, so
country.
authenticity, something related to yourself, right? Okay, and
related to yourself is a really good one, because there's no point in learning something that you're not going to use later on.
And throw those old books away.
Yeah, throw the old books away. Exactly, because they're pretty much useless.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ben, and let us know what you think about that. All right, do you agree or not agree? And if you know how to say there's a book on the table in French, please comment below.
Help me out.
Help Ben out. Okay, bye. Bye-bye.